that is on a research problem. So to start with, let us start with the definition of research problem. So research problem is a question that researcher wants to answer or a problem that a researcher wants to solve. So basically this is a problem. Anything that you are doing in the last class we have assigned some of the topics to you people, like somebody is given on risk perception about digital financial transactions, somebody is doing about service quality of customers in healthcare and hospital, somebody is doing digital transactions and awareness about it, somebody is doing a problem on digital transactions in the rural areas. So all these things are basically we are trying to find some problem. Now the points that I have just narrated, the topics that I have stated, they are the topics. But if you want to start some problem, then first of all you have to identify what is the problem, where is the problem, and which problem you'd like to solve. The problem may be to know something, to identify something, to measure something. For example, those who are doing some study on risk perception in respect of digital financial transactions. For you, the problem is to first one is the risk perception. The concept per se is a concept that has not yet been, or like there are no scale, foolproof scale to measure it. So the first problem itself is to develop a scale with which we can measure the concept like risk perception. Those who are doing on service quality, for you, the problem will center somewhere around measuring service quality. Someone in 1988 and 85, 88 and 91 and then 2005 like Parshuraman have done some work on identifying and measuring risk perception. Will it be sufficient or you want to further go about it? You want to develop a new skill, or you can identify that the skill developed by Parshuraman have some problem and you want to add something to that. So the problem is maybe anything. So the thing is that the research problem, basically there should be a problem, and that's why there is a research. If there is no problem, there cannot be any research. But the question is what kind of problem. So there again there are two types of researches. One is the fundamental research, another is the applied research. In case of fundamental research, the world is not facing any problem, nobody is facing any problem, but someone is taking up a research work only with an objective and with an intent to contribute something to the existing pool of knowledge, to build a new theory. And that kind of research will be called fundamental research or basic research. Like when Newton was sitting under a tree and the apple had fallen on his head, the world was not facing any problem at all. The world was very peaceful at that time. There was no problem at all. But he had taken up this as a problem, that why the apple is falling from falling downward, it's not going up. And that problem he has identified, this was the question he has asked to himself, and this question have given us a theory of gravitation. uh, those who have studied service quality, maybe when Parasuraman have done some work, like what are the factors and what are the dimensions of service quality. When we talk about service quality, what actually we mean about the service quality, what are the dimensions that we refer to. Is it the responsiveness, is it the reliability, is it the quality of service, is it the price of service, is it the product that we are getting from in return, what exactly we are trying to measure. And ultimately he did some research, and ultimately we have cervical scale in front of us. So there has to be certain problem which needs to be addressed and which needs to be solved, and then this is the beginning of a research. So the research question, so all of you just ask yourself what kind of question you is being raised in your mind when you are thinking to do a research on, say, risk perception in respect of digital transactions, what question is coming to your mind? So it will begin with some question. If there are no questions coming, then there is some serious problem and you need to study further. You need to do a lot of studies and you need to do a lot of literature review, because if there are no questions coming to your mind, then definitely there is some problem with respect to your research, some problem with your studies. So you need to have some questions. So from where the research question will come? It may be out of the curiosity that you might be having some information, you might be interacting with some people, you have some information, some experiences in and around, and that has given you curiosity that why this is happening, why this is not happening. So that out of curiosity you can start finding out the solution to that problem, and that itself may be a research question. But many a times when out of curiosity we will be starting to find out solution to some problem and why this is happening, and after little a bit of a study you will find that the solution already exists, then this is not a research question. For example, I might be wondering how this telephone works, how this computer works. So this is a new thing for me because I'm not a computer science expert. But once I'm curious about it and I'll start studying about why this computer is happening and how this network is functioning, why this electricity is and why this fan is moving, there are abundance of literature available why this all this these things are happening in electricity or in electronic and electrical science. And then after that kind little bit of a study I will be able to find answer to those questions. Then this need not to be explored further. But if even after a reasonable study I am not able to find a solution to that problem, then we need to go further. Then information gaps. I did some study out of this curiosity. I did some study, and with the available literature, I was not able to find solution or answer to all those questions. Whatever is coming to my mind means there are some gaps, and we need to take up some research. We need to take up some study to fill up those gaps. There may be some questions coming out of the controversy, whether God exists or God does not exist. So this controversial topic. Now, like the farm bill in Delhi, Haryana border, these farmers are protesting, and there is a controversy. A group of farmers are saying that the new legislation passed by the government is good. There are some group of people all over in other part of the country, those who are not affected at all with this new farm bill. And there is a controversy. The government do not want to accept the demands of the farmers. Farmers do not want to accept the law passed by the government, and there is a controversy. Now a person can take up some research about the farm bill. What is the perception of the farmers with respect to the Farm Amendment Act 2020? Why the farmers are protesting? What is the demand of the farmers? Is the demand can be full? Is the demand acceptable, or there are some other forces behind those protests? So a lot of things out of this controversy, some research questions might be generated. Replication is also one very important source of getting a research question. Replication means someone have did some study maybe in Oxford or in Harvard or Cambridge, and here in India you want to replicate the same study. So suppose Parasuraman have did some study on service quality maybe 20 years back, 30 years back, and now you want to do the same study once again, so that will be called replication. So using the same scale, same method, you want to replicate the same study, and you just wanted to test whether the findings of Parasuraman which was valid 30 years back, are they still valid? So that is called replication. Some other sources of research questions are the literature review. Once you go deeper into the literature, then you will find a lot of insights about the subject matter, and then you will be getting a lot of research questions, a lot of questions will be coming to your mind. Other people, maybe discussion with the other people. Some other sources are like the just observation. Like when Gautam Buddha went to that night on that full moonlight, and he went on traveling the entire city, and he just by observation he had got certain questions in his mind. Why this is happening? Why people are dying? Why people are becoming old? Why people are becoming ill? And these are the questions came to the mind of Gautam Buddha. So these questions came to him not out of the curiosity, not out of the literature review, not out of the controversy or application. It is just by the observation he got those questions, and in search of those questions he started again doing literature review and then controversy and curiosity, and he started doing a lot of hard work, and now the rest is history, and we have Buddhism in front of us. So these are some of the sources of getting research questions. So it is said that the identification and the formulation of research problem is the first step of the research process. So now you are at the basic, at the initial level of your research work, and you have been given some materials to study related to your topic that have been given to you. But that is the broad topic you have been given, maybe risk perception or awareness or the digital transactions in the rural areas. But that is a broad topic. Within that topic, you have to identify a very pinpointed research questions. Then only your research will be good and it will be acceptable at a reasonable level. So that's why identification of a problem is the first step. And as I told you in the beginning only, that this is the if identification of the problem is done correctly, then 50% of the problem is solved. So the selection of research problem depends on several factors. It may be on factors such as the researcher's knowledge, his or her skill, interest, expertise, motivation, and creativity with respect to the subject of inquiry. So, like, anybody cannot do a research on anything, definitely. So that's why this requires some knowledge, skill, and interest and expertise. So somebody might be having knowledge and skill and expertise in the area of marketing. Somebody might be having expertise in the area of finance, or somebody might be having expertise in the area of HR or marketing or service quality or digital transaction, that is, or digital financial transactions. New area is coming up which is called fintech, financial technology. So definitely these are the things governed what should be the problem taken by which people. So accordingly everybody will be taking up a different problems. The same problem can be taken up by the 2 or 3 different peoples from a different perspective. The same problem, like the problem of absenteeism, I'm just giving an example. One, like why employees are absent from their work, why the students are absent from their class. The same problem can be studied from a different perspective. Like it may be studied from the perspective of HR, it may be studied from the perspective of technology, it may be studied from the perspective of marketing, it may be studied from the perspective of finance. So all the perspectives will have different problems, different solutions, but ultimately everybody will be trying to solve the problem of absenteeism. So okay, now research topic. As I told you that research problem is the outcome of a research topic that you have taken. So research topic is, it's the broad general area expected to investigate. It is the broad area or concept from which many problems may be delineated. So research topic is a broad area. Like someone like Riyaj have taken up a study in the field of, say, service quality. So service quality or customers service quality or customers perception of service quality, this is a broad area. Now one research topic may provide more than one number of research questions. So some of the research questions may be directly interrogative, like why customers are perceiving like this, why customers perception in respect of service quality is this way. That can be one. What is the customer's perception with respect to service quality? So whether the customer's perception is favorable or unfavorable, that is what part. How this can be measured, how the service quality can be measured, this itself is an Herculean task. How will you measure service quality? That because that is totally qualitative aspect. How do I perceive service quality? So this is absolutely implicit for me, that how do I perceive service quality. This is implicit idea. It's not explicit. Implicit means only I can feel and I can just imagine, but I cannot express. And explicit is that which can be expressed and it can be written down. So implicit and explicit, these are the two things. So service quality, to some extent, it is very implicit feeling that I might be delighted with the service quality of one particular organization. But if you want to express me, it may be very difficult for me to express the same what my feelings. But the question is, if you want to take up a study on measuring service quality, so that the question might be how to measure service quality. That itself is a question. Then why service quality is to be measured, when it has to be measured, for whom it has to be measured, service quality on whom. Suppose you want to measure the service quality in case of bank, then whose service quality you will be measuring? Because in a bank, the definition of a customer is like anybody who is entering into the banking premises with, and in banking premises is a customer. Now, whose service quality will be measuring? Those who are having accounts with the bank and those who do not have account, those who have current account, those who have savings account, those who have obtained loan. Because if a person is visiting a bank branch with an intention to obtain loan, his perception will be different. He will be treated differently. If a person is entering into a bank branch with money in his hand with an intention to make some investment, the bank employees treatment to that person will be different, and accordingly his service quality or her service quality perception will be different. If a person is entering into a bank branch with an intention to purchase an insurance product or mutual funds, then he or she will be treated differently, and accordingly their perception will be different. So whose service quality we are trying to measure? In case of hospital that Riaz have taken up, whose service quality will be measuring? Is it the customer or consumer? Now, there is a difference between the customer and consumer. In case of hospital, the patient might be the consumer, but he may not be the customer. Suppose if somebody have got heart attack, a stroke, and he has been admitted to a hospital, that person who is the consumer of the medicine or the consumer of the services, he or she may not be knowing that he has been taken to that hospital. So it is some other person who is taking up that person to the hospital. They are the customers. So whose perception is important for you? Is it the customer or the consumer? Is it the person who is being treated or the person who is attending that patient, or the visitors? So there are a lot of things. It has to a flow chart has to be drawn, and ultimately we have to identify a very pinpointed research problem. So one research topic, so the customer perception towards service quality, it's a very broad research topic, but out of that customer perception towards service quality in hospital, out of this research topic, there may be a lot of problems which may be delineated. Okay, and all these problems requires different treatment, and all these problems requires a lot of attention and special very customized treatment. So this is about the research topic. Now with the research topic, as I told you that we can derive some research problems. So research problem is, it's a situation or it may be a circumstance that requires a solution to be described or explained or predicted. Sometimes solution has to be described. Like if I want to study how the government of India have managed corona crisis. So here I don't have to go to any laboratory, or I do not have to perform any experiment. Only thing is that how government of India have responded towards this corona crisis. only I need to describe that on such and such date government have declared lockdown, and then these are the measures taken, and then these are the incentives given, and people have reacted like this. These are the facilities provided. So only thing is that I need to describe. Sometimes it explanation, and sometimes it needs to be predicted. Like India Australia one day series is going on, and after every over, or after an interval of some maybe 15 or 20 overs, a score is predicted. So that prediction of a score itself is a problem. Now, this is not a very simple task. Somebody had taken up a study how the scores can be predicted, and ultimately they devised a formula considering the number of balls faced, number of balls remaining, and the number of wickets remaining. Ultimately, we can find out, we can predict what should be the total, and ultimately using that score is predicted. That predicted score, sometimes it may be valid, sometimes it may not be valid, sometimes it is it is actual score is near to that predicted score, sometimes it not. But ultimately that is prediction. So that is the research problem. Sometimes it is described, sometimes it explains, sometimes it's predicted, sometimes experimented. So this is a situation or circumstance. Now, how to select a research problem? So while selecting a research problem, the first thing is that the subject on which research work has been overdue should not be chosen. As I told you that if on certain areas, some certain subjects, a lot of research has been done, that should not be chosen, because ultimately you have to find something new. You have to throw some new light into the problem. But if lot of studies, lot of research has been done on that area, then what new you will be doing? There is nothing left for you to do, and that's why that should not be chosen. The problem should neither be too narrow nor too vague. There's that is, suppose I'm just giving you an example of a vague problem, that what is the perception of people towards the value-added services provided by BSNL? Now, BSNL is a service provider, cell phone service provider, and I'm saying what is the perception of people towards the value-added services provided by BSNL. Now, this is a very vague statement. Why vague statement? Because value-added services itself, now this is not very well defined. Now, what is value-added services? For someone, getting a caller tune may be considered as value-added services. For someone, getting his or her telephone bill delivered to their doorstep may be considered to be value-added services. For someone, getting connection to the customer care center immediately may be considered to be value-added services. For someone, getting weather forecast every morning may be considered to be the value-added services. So this value-added services has not been defined, and that's why it is very vague. So instead, if we have defined that what is the perception of customers towards the service provided by BSNL in respect of, if I can identify like the payment of bill or connection or a call drop. Now call drop is very pinpointed topic. Now everybody will be understanding the call drop in the same way as the narrator or the stator is saying. So that the problem should not be very narrow, and it should not be very vague. And the topic of research should be familiar and feasible. This is especially for the students. Someone might be taking up a study which may not be familiar, but later on they may devote some time to get familiarity with the subject. But as a student, you have only 2 months of the time, and if someone is doing PhD, you have only 3-4 years of time left in your hand, and within that time period only you have to complete your research. So the idea is that you should not take up a study on a subject which is not familiar to you. And that's why if something is not familiar, definitely that will not be feasible for you as a researcher, so that you can easily have access to the related research material, source of research. So the familiarity is one of the concern that has to be taken. If I suggest you some topic with which you are not familiar with, Okay, so definitely your initial period of the time will be devoted or it will be wasted in just getting the familiarity, and by the time you will be familiar with that topic, time will be lost. So topics should be familiar, and controversial subjects should be avoided. A person like who has already done some research, so for him, he or she can devote, or he or she can afford to do some study on the controversial subject. But as a student, you should avoid any subject which is controversial. Okay, like maybe say CPEC, China Pakistan Economic Corridor, or the Belt Road Initiative of China. So these are some of the controversial subjects. Maybe Article 370. As a student, you should avoid all these things, because this will consume a lot of time. And as a researcher, your first priority should be to complete that project, and later on, like I can afford to do a research on maybe Belt Road Initiative of China or China Pakistan Economic Corridor or any other controversial subject, because I need not to earn any degree. But you have to earn a degree. You have to get your thesis or you get your result of research published in some reputed journals within a reasonable time frame. So you should avoid any controversial subject. And selecting a research problem, the researchers should also take into account the factors such as the importance of the subject, the qualification, training, investment, all these things, money, time, and energy, everything has to be taken. Suppose if someone is having the time is constant, so definitely that person should take up a study which can be done using the secondary data available. But someone for whom time is not a constant, they can definitely go for the primary data, go for the field study, field survey, and accordingly collect the data. But field studies, that requires a lot of money. So again, if money is constant, time is constant, you can go for the secondary data. But it does not mean that secondary data is cheap. Sometimes you have to pay for getting secondary data. Like most of this BSC or this stock market data, or this CMI, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, that is a database. If you want to access the database of CMIE, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE, so you have to pay a lot of money. CMI Praves database, you have to pay a lot of money. So if your institute have the subscription of CMI Praves, you can have access to those data and you can do it. But if your institute do not have access to those database or subscription to those database, then definitely this is a concern for you, and you should think of some other ways of collecting data. So time, money, energy, qualification, everything has to be taken into consideration while selecting a problem. For example, I cannot take up a problem on astrophysics because I am not expert in astrophysics, but I can take up a problem related to management or maybe accounting or finance or maybe marketing to some extent. Okay, because I have some interest in these areas, but I'm not expert in astrophysics. I cannot take up a problem in physics. I cannot take up a problem in the nanotechnology, but I can take up some problem in respect of financing of nanotechnology, because that is something which is close to my heart and I can have some idea with respect to the finance. Okay. Now, what are the sources from which we can have the research problem? So in the initial slides, we already had a discussion on sources of research problem. Now let us have some idea about what are the sources. So first one is the theory of one's own interest. So first source of research problem is that your own interest will govern. Like somebody have interest in marketing at a hospital or digital transactions, Paytm, Phone Pay or Google Pay. So if someone is having their interest of their own, definitely he or she should go for exploring the interest, his or her area of interest. Okay, so this is the first source of getting a research problem. Then practical experience. I might be having some interest in particular discipline, but when I will be digging further into the problem, I might be experiencing something. I might while doing something or performing my day-to-day activities, I may have some practical experience, and this might be uh, sufficient to give the impetus to put a research question: why this is happening, and this is not happening in another way, and why this is happening in this way only. So this experience is another source of getting research problem. Daily problems. So when this the inventor, the founder of this Paytm, he have got a problem that every day he was facing a problem of, he has seen that people are facing a problem of change, that if I have to buy a product, say, and the cost of the product is 13 rupees and I'm paying a 50 rupees note, then definitely the shopkeeper will ask, do you have change? Why don't you give me change? So if I do not have change, so definitely he will be giving me 30 rupees, he will be returning 30 rupees, and for the rest 7 rupees he or she will be giving me some chocolates or some other products which I may not be requiring, but I have to buy in compulsion. So this is the daily problem. So the inventors of Paytm, they have found this problem interesting, and that they have developed some tool, they have developed some technology to solve that problem. And now if we have to pay 13.5 rupees, so with the help of Paytm and now PhonePe and other UPI platforms are there, we can pay exactly 13.5 or 13.53 or 13.56, exactly that amount, and the problem of change is reduced substantially. So this daily problem is giving us a lot of source of getting research problems. We have, like, people have visited to different places, and they have faced problem with respect to booking of hotels. And now somebody have realized this problem, and then this Oyo is a platform where we can book our hotels very easily, very conveniently. So this problem is solved. So daily problems. Previous research is another source of getting uh, research problems. Then discussion with the supervisor. So for you people, this will be very important, that you should have some interest, some experience, some previous research, and then discuss that with your supervisor here in IIIT, or with your mentors, or with your mentors in your respective institutions, and you can build your problem with, and you can fine tune your problem, we can polish your problem, which you can undertake later on. Then technology changes, technological changes, this is another problem, source of source of getting research problem. Then unexplored area, there are a lot of plenty of areas which are unexplored. uh, so if you can catch hold of those areas, like if you can identify this area is unexplored, so definitely you can have some, you can throw some light on those areas. Say for example, somebody who is willing to do research in accounting, so value-added accounting, so value-added accounting is a very new concept, and still explored. So someone wants to do some research in the area of accounting, so definitely value-added accounting will be an unexplored area. Sustainability reporting may be another area, CSR reporting may be another area. So these are the new areas coming up, new developments, and new developments are always unexplored. So lot of potential, lot of unexploredness is there to explore those areas. And existing theories. So how to formulate a research problem? So first thing is that selection of a research area. So that I told you at the beginning only, that the research problem, it starts with selection of a research topic. You have to select a research topic, that I want to do research in this area on this topic, like risk perception in respect of digital financial transactions, or service quality in respect of hospitals. So this is a broad area that you need, that you have identified, or awareness about digital financial transactions, or digital financial transactions in rural areas. These are the broad topics that you have identified. Now once these broad topics are identified, what you need to do? Will it be sufficient? No. Once these are identified, so you have to do the extensive literature review, because these are the topics that it is not that you have come across these topics for the first time. and you are like a Columbus that you will be entering. You have already all of a sudden you have started entering into in these areas all of a sudden, and you are the first one who have uh, think something related to these areas. There are plenty of people who have already done a lot of research work in the area of the topic that you have identified. So the next is the reviewing the literature and theories. What are the theories available with in respect of that? What is the literature like? Those who have done their study on risk perception, so there are 6 or 7 theories: social control theory, risk handling theory, action situational theory. There are some theories related to risk perception. Those who are doing uh, study on awareness about digital financial transactions, so there are a lot of studies on awareness, like Sigmund Freud, one of the psychologists. He has done a lot of study and he has given a theory, that is a Eve, ego and super ego theory. What is called that name of the theory, I'm just forgetting. That Sigmund Freud's theory of awareness. So similarly, Parasuraman's scale is there in case of survey call, service quality. So these are some of the existing theories. And then not only these theories, then based on these theories, plenty of people have done a lot of research work. So all we need to identify some of the relevant research papers, study them, and then we have to find out the gap, or in the light of this literature review, we have to once again rephrase our problem or redefine our problem, that this is the broad topic and now these are the things which has already been covered and I want to cover this thing. So that's why there the concept of delimiting the research topic. We need to delimit it. Delimit it means your research topic is a very broad concept. Now you cannot study each and everything related to that particular area. Like service quality. Service quality can be studied in respect of bank, insurance, hospitals, pathology, diagnostic centers, educational institutions. Everywhere we can use this the concept of service quality. Now, are you going to study all the areas, all the sectors? Definitely not. Not. You are going to study only identified area. Maybe you are going to study only the hospitals. Now, in hospital also, there are a lot of hospitals, lot of healthcare centers, healthcare service providers, like even gym is a healthcare center. Or are you going to study all the hospitals, all the diagnostic centers, all the pathology center? So that you have to define. So definitely you are not going to study all of them. You are going to study only a identified. Maybe you are going to study only the hospitals, or you are going to study only the multi-speciality hospital, or you are going to study only the pathology center, because service quality in a pathology center will be completely different than that of a multi-speciality hospital. Service quality in respect of a nursing home or a government hospital will be different than a private nursing home or private hospital. So you need to delimit it. The scope will has to be defined, and once again within this given scope, again do the review literature, because literature we have done extensively for all the areas. Now within that scope, what are the literatures fits your selection, and then you have to redefine your research problem, and then evaluating the research problem. Once again you have to evaluate the research problem, because after once you have delimited your research topic, you have to evaluate it whether the research problem that you have identified is adequate or not, or it needs further clarification, it needs further preciseness, it needs further fine tuning. Then if required, do it, and then finally it will be formulating the final statement of the research problem. So selection of a research area, that is the first thing that you have to do. So already I have explained the formulation of a research question begins with the selection of a broad research topic. It may be from personal experience, maybe from literature, maybe from the previous research theory in which the researcher have gained some interest. Then literature review, I told you, after getting a broad idea for research, he or she needs to review the literature and delimiting the research. In this step, researcher proceeds from a general area of interest to more specific topic of interest to conduct a study. Evaluating the problem, once research is clear about the specific research problem, next the research problem must be carefully evaluated for its significance, researchability and feasibility. Researchability has to be there. Everything is not researchable. Actually, in this unit, everything is researchable, but we have some limitations. We cannot research. We cannot do research on everything. So, based on our qualification, based on our affordability, based on our interest and feasibility, we have to decide the researchability and feasibility. And finally, we have to we have to come out with the final statement of the problem. So after establishing the significance, researchability and feasibility, researchers finally formulates a final statement of a research problem. A statement of a research problem could be in a declarative or interrogative format. This is very interesting. Now, it can be a declarative format or interrogative format. I told you at the beginning only that research problem can start with a question. It can be in an interrogative form: what, why, where, when, whom, why, how, all these questions. Or it can be simply declarative. One example of declarative is like impact of digitalization on spending behavior of people, or like those who are doing impact of or measuring risk perception in respect of digitalization. This is a declarative format. Measuring service quality in hospitals. I'm just giving an example. You don't take it seriously that this is the only correct research problem. You have to dig further into the problem. You have to come up with a problem statement very carefully. Okay, so this is declarative. Or interrogative is, it start with a question like, what is the impact of digitalization on spending behavior of people or students? So it can be in any way, in any form. Research problem, it should be clear, it should be precise, it should be articulated, well articulated, and it should clearly state the variable, population and research setting under study. The problem should state the variables, population. I will come to these variables and population now. Variables are expressed in measurable terms, and this type of study also may be included in the statement of research problem, the type of study. Okay. Now, the research questions, there are three types of research questions which conceptualize a research study can ask three types of questions. What is the descriptive, relationship, and differential questions? This is in general I'm saying, like it's not that every time it has to be in this way only, but most of the researches are that fall in these three categories: descriptive, relationship, and difference questions. Now, descriptive questions, it seeks to describe the phenomena or characteristics of a particular group of subjects being studied. Simply describe, like the answer to the what is, asking question of research participant, testing or measuring their performance. So like in your case, that your research question, like what is the risk perception of people in respect of digital financial transactions, what, how this can be measured, or measuring risk perception of people, these are the descriptive. Or measuring service quality of customers in respect of healthcare or hospital, what is the perception of people with respect to service quality in hospital. These are the descriptive questions. Difference questions, that try to differentiate between two or more variables or group of interest. It seeks to make comparison between or within group of interest, and it is often associated with experimental research, like what is the impact of new education policy on the students. So this is actually a difference questions, because it is trying to make a comparison between the old education policy and new education policy. So this is a difference questions. Or if what is the impact of digitalization of classroom on students. So if you want to do this kind of a study, so this is actually, we have to make a comparison, like one group of students will have to be taught without using any digital platform, another group of students has to be taught using this digital platforms, and then at the end of a particular time period we can just evaluate the performance of these two group of students and we can make a comparison. of one group of students with the another. So this kind of questions are difference questions. So criteria for selecting a problem. So I already stated the interest, significance, and manageability. Now variables. Now what is variable? Just a minute. So right from the beginning, I was uttering the word variable or population or sample. Now the question is, what is variable? So variable means the term itself is variable, which varies, which is capable of assuming many values because it keeps on varying, and that's why it keeps on varying. That's why it's called variable. So it is a characteristic, traits, or attitude of a person or thing that can be classified or measured. A variable is a condition, a characteristic which is given study may have more than one value. That's a variable. It may be quantitative variable, it may be qualitative variable. Like quantitative variable, which can be measured in terms of some number, like your age. Someone, when I ask what is your age, so suppose you are saying that someone is 21-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old, 31-year-old, 40 years old, 41 years old. So these are quantitative variables. Age is quantitative variable. Now the same age can be put into qualitative aspect. How? Like it can be like someone is in his an infancy, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age, senior citizen. Now these are the qualitative variables. Now when I say that a boy or child is say 3 years old, so this is 3 years old is quantitative variable, and we can just put it like that child is an infant child, or suppose someone is 7 years old, so we can call it that person as like adolescence. So that is qualitative variables. If I ask what is like which month is running right now, so we'll say that it's November. Today is the end of November. So November is a quantitative variable, that is 11th month of the year. And now the same thing can be put into a qualitative measure. So पतझड़ सावन बसंत बहार एक बरस के मौसम चार. So this is the winter going on. So winter is a qualitative variable. So winter is qualitative, but 11th month of the year or November is the quantitative variable. Now quantitative variables, they are also of two types. One is the discrete and another is the continuous. Discrete means which cannot assume any value, which can assume only the complete value, or continuous which is continuous, which can assume any value. Like our age is a continuous variable. Someone is 41 years 9 months 13 days 2 hours 30 seconds old. That is continuous, and every second our age is changing, and this is a continuous variable. But the number of students in a class, the number of students cannot be 30.1 or 30.5 students. Either it will be 30 or it will be 31. So number of students cannot be a continuous variable, but the age of a student can be a continuous variable. Got it? Now independent variable. Yes, please. So independent variable means which is not affected by any other variable, and the dependent variable is which is dependent on the independent variable. For example, the production of rice and the rainfall. Now which one is dependent? Production of rice is the dependent variable.
Production of rice, sir.
Yeah, production of rice is the dependent variable, and it is dependent on the quality of rainfall. Okay, if higher is the rainfall, means better is the rainfall, better will be the production of rice. If there is no rainfall, no production of rice. If there is more than a particular level of rainfall, then there will be flood, and then also there will be no production of rice. So this is rice and rainfall are the example of dependent and independent variable. Age and weight can be like higher is the age, higher will be the weight, but not always necessary. Again, there are some conditions. The condition is that the person should be mature, person should not be malnourished, the person should not be ill. So age and weight may be dependent and independent variable. Qualification may be a variable which may be dependent on the age of the person, the age of the parents, the financial stability or the family income of the parents. So like these are the things you will just get to know later on. So the dependent variable and independent variable. Another variable is this extraneous variable. Okay, now extraneous variable, actually extraneous variable is which is not actually present in the study, but it seems that it is present in the study, and that's why it is a kind of error. For example, those who save daily, the probability of getting heart attack is lower for those people. Now saving and heart attack, they do not have any direct relationship, but simply just to take the data that some person is saving daily and what is his or her blood pressure and then his or her condition of health, and we can have some relationship, but actually it is the presence of some other variable which is interrupting. For example, जो लोग रोज दाढ़ी बनाते हैं, they actually stand in front of mirror every day, so actually they take care of themselves better than a person who do not do the same practice. Okay, so that is the extraneous variable. So it is actually not having any relationship between the dependent and independent variable, but it seems to be there, and that's why it needs to be controlled. There has to be some mechanism to control those extraneous variable. Type of research, also we need to learn about this. We need to have some discussion about type of research. At the beginning I told you there are two types of research: fundamental research and applied research. So fundamental research is that world is not facing any problem, nobody is facing any problem, but simply for the sake of doing research, for the sake of building some theory, developing some theory, or contribute to the existing pool of knowledge, we have taken up the study, and that will be fundamental research. Applied research, this two types of research: one is the fundamental research, another is the applied research. So applied research is the world or the person or the organization or the society each facing some problem, and to solve that problem we have taken up a research. Like corona is a problem everybody is facing, and now to solve this problem scientists have taken up a research like how to develop a vaccine for corona. So development of vaccine for corona is a research, and it is an applied research. But interestingly, this is a problem, microbiological problem, but the first solution, and this is actually a matter of pride for we the people from the management, that the first solution to the corona crisis is given by the management. And what is that solution? Social distancing. Social distancing is a solution given by the management. It's not given by the microbiology or the life science, or it's by the physics or zoology or botany or biotechnology. So this is these are the two types of research. Another type of research is the descriptive research. Descriptive research, that only you have to describe the phenomena, whatever has happened. So simply you need to use some ratios, percentage, then the relationship between the variables, and just go on describing whatever things has happened. So one thing is about descriptive research is that the area, the subject matter, the variables should be known. It should not be completely unknown. The things are known, the subjects are known, the variables are known, only you are going to describe it. So this is called descriptive research. Exploratory research, when the subject matter is totally unknown to the researcher, then he or she can enter into a research, and that is called exploratory research. For example, Columbus is called explorer. He was an explorer. So when he started from Portugal, and actually he wanted to reach India through a sea route. So he started from Portugal and he started traveling towards India, but he landed somewhere else. He landed at America. So that was his exploration. So because he was not totally not aware about the sea route towards India, and that's why he is called explorer. When the subject matter is totally unknown, you are venturing into a totally unknown territory, then this will be called exploratory research. Ex post facto research, just describing the phenomena the way they had happened. Ex post facto. Qualitative research, like just using this without using the data, or without just using the numbers, you are just going on describing the things, that is called qualitative research. Quantitative research, using the numbers, using the data, trying to draw analogy, cross sectional, same different group of people are studied, and then we are trying to draw some analogy, like what is the impact of digital classroom on the students. So at a time we'll be just interviewing maybe class 7 student, 8 student, 9 student, 10 students, and we can just draw an analogy. So it is cross sectional study. And contrary to that, there is a longitudinal study, that the same students will be interviewed in different levels. Like when the student was in class 7, he will be interviewed, then again that student will be taught using the digital platform, digital media in class 8. Again he will be or she will be studied. Again in class 9 he or she will be studied. In class 10 he or she will be, the same group of students will be studied over a period of time. So this is called longitudinal study. These are just in brief some of the types of research. Then we shall discuss further about it in other classes. So for